What's going on, everyone? So, however you feel about Anthony Davis, the one thing that is undeniable is his defensive impact. I mean, he is the best defensive player in the league. He has been for many years now. His level of impact single-handedly makes the Lakers one of the top 15, top 10 defensive teams in the league. Just him alone. And then you add in a guy like a Jared Vanderbilt or something like that. And all of a sudden we've seen they're the number one defensive team in the league. And very likely this year, once again, they're going to be the number one defensive team in the league. And Anthony Davis, I'm fully expecting an MVP level type season. It's been a lot of talk, especially from even LeBron, about this is Anthony Davis's team. This is his moment for him to take over. And I do hope that LeBron and the rest of the team kind of makes that transition and that change to allowing AD to be dominant on both sides of the basketball, finding him the ball, right? And Anthony Davis, when he is the AD we know he's capable of being, I mean, he's the best player in the world. There's nobody in the NBA that has the level of impact defensively with his offensive just repertoire. You have guys that have the offensive versatility, but they don't have the defense. Or they have the defense and they don't have the offensive versatility. And so Anthony Davis and his ability to just dominate. I mean, even last year, he led the league in 30 and 15 games. He led the league in 35 and 15 games, rebounding. I mean, this guy can just do everything. People always like to label this guy or that guy a unicorn. Well, Anthony Davis is that guy. And he has yet to receive that illustrious award, right? And he recently talked about just how it affects him and what he's hoping to look for. And there's been a lot of talk, even from Rob Pelinka, about how, Anthony Davis is just coming into his own, that his best years are still ahead of him. And look, he's 30. His best years probably still very ahead of him, right? He's right in the heart of his prime. He's probably got a good 3 to 5 years, bearing injury to just continue to dominate and improve on his game. But Anthony Davis said, if I do what I'm supposed to do, of course, I feel like I got cheated out a couple defensive awards. If I do what I'm supposed to do, play how I'm supposed to play, those stuff will come. At the end of the day, the goal is to win championships. And look, Anthony Davis, right? That is the main goal. Anthony Davis has talked for years, even dating back to the Pelicans, about he doesn't care so much about individual accolades. He just wants to win. He just wants to win NBA championships. And he's proven that a lot, right? Because, I know a lot of people give AD slack for just not dominating on the offensive side as consistently as we'd all like him to. But a lot of that too is, and I've defended him in this regard, of like, I don't care if he goes and gives you 15 points on any given night as long as the Lakers are cruising, right? Like, people will even criticize him when the Lakers win by 30 and he has like 12 points. It's like, why does that matter, right? Like, if anything, you should be praising Anthony Davis for allowing everyone else to get going. And why would you want to overexert him anyway, right? So many superstars, so many stars in this league have to get theirs. Right? They want their 20 to 30 shot attempts per game or 25 shot attempts per game. They want to be on the ball heavily, right? And Anthony Davis has shown, like, I can dominate this game from a defensive standpoint and still go get a double-double. And as long as we're winning, I don't need to go get 30. My only issue is when we need him to go get 30 and he doesn't, right? If he is capable of consistently, night in and night out, go and give you that offensive production and add it to the defense, then yeah, I think he's going to have an MVP level. It just comes down to how many games is he going to play. Because before this upcoming season, it's always been, however many games. Usually you got to play a significant amount, right? Like, a guy played 20 games, he's not winning the Defensive Player of the Year. But you look at him and you look at like the amount of games he's played, it's not that far off from some of these defensive players of the year. And so it is surprising that he hasn't won the Defensive Player of the Year, given how just ridiculous he is on that side of the basketball. But if the Lakers are one of the better top teams in the league, and then you add in the fact that if they are number one defensively, then I don't know how you don't give Anthony Davis that Defensive Player of the Year award, assuming he plays at least 65 games. If he doesn't play 65 games, then just by rule, he's not going to be able to do that. But you look at AD last year, right? For example, he played 56 games last season, which again isn't 65, but Triple J played 63, right? So you're talking a 7-game difference. Okay, we'll give Triple J the 7-game difference. That's Jaren Jackson Jr. But they're not even comparable when you look at all the defensive metrics. Anthony Davis is a freak of nature compared to Triple J. Like, it's not even fair. The closest we have defensively to an Anthony Davis is Giannis, right? And unless Giannis is winning you can make an argument Anthony AD should have won several by now. And the fact that he hasn't, it is in many ways a slight. But he's got to be able to play the 65 games, which again, he played 56. So you basically got to play 10 more games than he played last year, which with this roster, with the depth and the versatility, I don't think that that's far-fetched. I don't think that that's something that can't happen, right? So if AD can reach that milestone, I don't see how he doesn't win it this year. Because again, the Lakers are probably going to be the number one defensive team. If they're not number one, they're going to be in the top 3. And so if they're top 3 defensively, and AD is that anchor, and he's once again the best defensive player in the league by every metric, he has to win the Defensive Player of the Year trophy. I also think that if the Lakers are, a top 2 to 3 seed in the Western Conference, and they are really good, and AD is giving you, 26, 12, 3, 3 and 2 or something like that, whatever, then I also wouldn't be shocked if he wins not only the Defensive Player of the Year, but also the MVP award. Because, again, it's funny to me that, Anthony Davis gets such a bad rep for, the amount of games he's played. But, if you look at the last, 6-7 years, Anthony Davis has played around the amount of games that most of the stars in the league have also. And, pick your favorite guy. Outside of, Jokic, he's played as many, if not more, the last 6-7 years as all these other guys. But he's the only one that gets called glass. And a lot of it has to do with he's on the Lakers, and he is a Laker. But I always think it's funny where people are like, oh, he's washed. You need to trade him. You need to get rid of him. Yet, he led the league in rebounding. He was the best defensive player in the league. And if washed is 26 points, 2 blocks, 1.5 steals, 2.6 assists, and 12.5 rebounds on 57% EFG, almost 60% and 2-point field goals. He also had his best shooting season of his career, not from range. He was terrible from 3-point range, but as far as statistically speaking. And how do you not think this guy is just ridiculous? Whether you're a Laker fan or not, you could absolutely hate the Lakers. But if you respect the game and you respect the players that play the game, you have to respect what Anthony Davis is able to do on that basketball court. Seriously, he's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm rooting for him this year. Obviously, I'm rooting for him because I'm a Laker fan and this is a Laker channel. But beyond that, I want to see him kind of take those next steps, take those strides, right? Kind of get back. Because people forget, Anthony Davis on the Pelicans, there was a genuine conversation and talk of, is he the best player in the league? And it wasn't crazy. It wasn't some where are they getting this from type thing. Again, he was arguably the best defensive player in the league. and was giving you, a 26, 27 point a game guy, right? I mean, literally, his last year with the Pelicans, right? He still gave you 26 points. And this was when he was basically checked out. Still gave you 26 points, 12 rebounds, 2.5 assists. It basically was this almost identical to this past season. But you look at the 2 years earlier than that, where he was being talked about as the best player in the league, gave you 28 points each season, just under 12 rebounds, 2.5 assists. Like, the guy was ridiculous. 2.5, almost 3 blocks one year. And people think he's not capable of being one of, if not the best players in the league. I mean, people talk about Jokic being the best player, right? And he has the offensive repertoire, and he's just a ridiculous playmaker, but he doesn't have the defensive side. Joel Embiid's won an MVP. He can pretty much score anywhere, but defensively, he's nowhere near that. Giannis, right? He's the closest defensively, but he doesn't have the offensive repertoire, right? I mean, Anthony Davis is rare. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? He's kind of talked a lot about like these awards this year. I mean, a lot of it has been because he's been asked, but nonetheless, hopefully he's taking it personal. But again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Let me know down in the comments.